Hey, Karl, when I write the quiet title, do I label it quiet title or just label it claim and just call it a day?
Well, if you want to try to do any kind of quiet titling, what you're basically doing is that you're saying, I am making a claim to have sole possession of said property.
Okay.
What you could say is compare that with quiet title under New York Code 18, Section 372.
Okay.
So you see attached quiet title Exhibit A, but you leave it freaking blank. So that way they know what you're referring to and what your process is basically comparing with their process. It's like, look, this is how I basically do it. Now you do it your way. I do it my way. Now, if anybody wants to come over to my side of the world, the common law side, come on over and talk to me man to man. I don't do things on forms. No man could ever testify in open court under oath of affirmation that anything in that form is true or anything is accurate, because I didn't create the damn thing. You didn't create the damn thing, but it's nice that somebody in the past created a form for us to have a way of trying to understand what the hell this quiet title means to the man who created that form. It's like, okay, that's a pretty good uniform system in which it's to be universally accepted throughout the world, like a one world government, like a UCC, like a universal commercial code. That's fine, but I'm not subject to that piece of paperwork. I'm a man. I'm unlimited in my capacity to move and to go and choose to do what I want to at any time I wish. I'm not bound by your rules or your regulations. Thank you for giving me some guidelines, and some structure and some good ideas on how I should conduct my life and conduct my business, but I'm not bound to it. As long as I don't cause any harm to anybody else, I'm going to choose to opt out and, you know what, take it one step further. Or take it 2 steps back. I could do whatever's comfortable for me. Yeah, like the Pan Zero guy said, compare that with, CF. Just, right, compare it with. And that's all I ever do, is to compare what I do to what you people do. See, you people say, like that one man said under Federal Rules Civil Procedure 54, I said, well, that's great. You know what? But if you're trying to say under the Federal Rules Civil Procedure 54, why don't you say, well, I require that the man who's going to make the claim testify and appear in open court. You can compare that with Federal Rules Civil Procedure, Rule 17A or Rule 17B, the real party of interest, or vested interest in the claim or the complaint must appear. Now, you could do it like that. You can say the real party of interest must appear. I have an interest, a vested interest, I must appear. That also occurs under Rule 17 of the Federal Rules of Procedure. That's fine. Or all paperwork must be signed. You can compare that with Federal Rules of Procedure number 11. That's fine. For it to be considered bona fide a legitimate document. A man has got to put a wet ink signature on it. Compare that to Federal Rules of Procedure that all parties must have access to that paperwork, and they must have all papers must be made available and delivered to all peoples. Compare that with Rule Civil Procedure Rule 5A. You can just go on and on and on and on. Basically, what you believe is common sense and what's only fair and just, they put it in some sort of a code that all parties should have privy to the paperwork. All parties should have a copy of what's going on. Rule 5. Real party in interest must appear. Rule 17. It's just simple things. If you want to ask me a question, these are certain rules we're going to abide by. That's called rules of discovery, like from Rule 23 to Rule 27. That's all it is. So you compare that with, but you don't say Rule 23 like interrogatories, discovery, or you don't do that nonsense. You just say, look, I got some questions I'd like to ask this man before we go to court. I'd like to try to settle this matter privately before using an open forum. You can compare that with Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, like I said, 23 to 27. That's fine. But you don't have to rely upon that rule, because once you rely upon that Rule 23 or Rule 27, 24, 25, all those rules in between there like that for discovery, then you're binding yourself to making believe that you're this pretend attorney, and then you lose your ability, your status as a man in court, because they're gonna. You want to act like a legalese or a Chinese? They're going to treat you like a legalese or a Chinese, person who understands Chinese and fluent in Chinese or fluent in legalese. They're going to start conversing with you in that language, and they're going to run you over like a freight train because you don't know what this legalese nonsense is. Even though you say, "Well, I'm good at it." Oh, believe me, they're better. And they're going to make you look like a monkey. So you know what? Just use the words and bring your court and your law and the way you like to speak You just bring your style into court. You bring your rules. You bring your law. Just point across that thing and said, hey, she robbed me of my property. She stole my stuff, and I want it back. That's all you got to do. You ain't got to use no fancy words like he, all be now, be said, be quit, be done, the thing, henceforth. You know, saying all that nonsense. I mean, every now and then I write like that just to be funny. And they go, what's that about? That's all present tense, man, and that's how, like, the King of England used to talk. I said I read some old stuff from, like, the 1200s, the 1500s, and you just pick up the cadence and the rhythm, and it all starts coming natural after a while, and you start really talking like you'd think you're one of these guys from the 1200s. It's like, you know, it's just a pattern you pick up. I said, but look, you know, any moron can understand, hey, you robbed me of my property and want it returned. And there you go. What more do you need to tell them?